Welcome to tonight's presentation. We are jumping right in. We are talking about conifers tonight. So let us just get started. Conifers are your basic trees that reproduce with cones. That will be a slide later in the presentation. It's very, very basic tonight. We're keeping it simple, low key for the holidays. There won't be a test. um, but this is what we have. It's specific trees. Pines are the big ones, cedars, junipers. Like cedars are in the larger category of juniper when we're looking at the actual scientific families and, the entire hierarchy of categorization classification. So, and you can tell that by the berries. This was what the internet said. We have pines, junipers, firs, spruces, cedars, cypress, yew, hemlock, larch, redwood, arbor vitae. So a lot of these you might see at the holidays around the house. Obviously, pines are traditional for holiday trees. So these are, as well as boughs for decoration. So these are some of the different types. There are 600 varieties, also according to, I believe, Google AI. They are generally categorized as conifers because they do reproduce using cones. And many also have needles instead of the traditional deciduous or broad leaves. They are abundant in the boreal forest, a biome that forms a sort of belt around the northern Arctic. The boreal forest crosses North America, Europe, and Asia between tundra and temperate forests. The boreal forest is also known as the snow forest or taiga, and I apologize, I do not know if I am saying that correctly, but it was a new term for me. I hadn't heard it before. It is in Russian, I believe it is what the internet said, taiga in Russian, and it is the largest on-land biome. There are some pretty cool maps online on Wikipedia specifically is where I was looking that have different colors for the different biomes on the globe, and it's just fantastic. It is so cool to see. And the boreal forest, of course, was very large, up just making a ring around the Arctic Circle. So along Canada, let's see, I think that was on the previous slide here. North America, Europe, and Asia between tundra and temperate forests. So it's very large, but it's pretty cool. I would love to go. I've not been, but we can pretend, up here in the Midwest. Oh, this is tundra. This is definitely tundra. This is Arctic cold, and it was like 1 degree out today, according to my car when I was getting off of work. So, it is cold, but technically I don't think it qualifies, and it doesn't qualify looking at the official biome map. We are not in the boreal forest. But that being said, I believe I have read um, of something comparable that we are like up north Minnesota. Obviously, we have our mixed forest up north, where we have deciduous more down in the southern part of Minnesota. So our mixed forests, with a lot more of the conifers, are up north. You'll find those, and a lot of them have been planted. Obviously, we have the timber industry here, which we'll talk about this on this slide. In fact, used for timber. Uh, but a lot of it has been replanted, and you can see just rows of different conifers. So, because of that, because of our industry, so conifers have softwood, and they can be used for timber. Note, softwoods can be easily dented, so choosing projects where this isn't an issue may be advisable. So I actually did do some cleaning in my throughout my life, throughout my days. And so, healthcare work as well as just supplemental for when I was in college. And I have come across a few softwood floors. Some of it was reclaimed. I'm not sure about some of the others, but they can be dented. And so I know I felt terrible because I was trying to get a piece of dried food off of the floor of this nice house with this beautiful wood floors, and I was just trying to kind of scratch it off with my thumbnail, and I dented the floor. I dented the floor, and so I just felt terrible, just trying to get that dried food off. So it is softer than probably dried broccoli, as it turns out. So you do want to be careful. You want to be mindful of what you use it for. Um, and of course, there are 600 different varieties, so you can play with them and figure out what you like. But that is the case for this particular type of wood. Conifers and industry. We do have, like I mentioned, the floors in construction were perhaps not the greatest idea ever, but you do have them for construction projects. It did say that you can make paper out of them. There are certain types of plastics that you can derive chemicals from the trees and use those to make plastics. Tannins you can also get from the trees. That's kind of like that bitter, like it's a bitter flavor, I guess, or it's an like I think it's an acid that you can take from the tree. Pine nuts, juniper berries, and it also said it has a mounting medium. I think that might be a derivation of some of the sap used as mounting medium for like microscopes, the slides, you can use it to keep things in place on the slides. So I thought that was really cool, just because I have used slides in the past and I've seen things mounted on them. So you can also use conifers for ship products, using it to make or produce tar, pitch, pine oil, turpentine, etc. In the olden days when we had our big boats, our big pirate ships, and sailed across the ocean blue. So that's pretty cool. There's some serious heritage there, some history. Conifers in at-home DIY. I actually was looking into this. I read a book where I'll start from the bottom of the list, I guess. I read a book where I was looking at different survival techniques, and it was like surviving out in nature. And one of them suggested pine needle tea, as I think it was supposed to help um, with oh gosh, illness. It's supposed to be healing. So you just boil pine needles, and I actually added a little bit of sugar, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. So it was very nice. I liked it. So pine needle tea, I saw online that somebody tried fermenting pine needles with sugar in uh, in bottles. They called it quote unquote Sprite. And they said that it was a family tradition and they appreciated it. I haven't tried that, but I thought it was cool. I thought it was very interesting. So I like the flavor just as a tea with sugar, which I was a little surprised, but it was nice. Tasted Minnesotan. Um, but pine boughs for decoration. I know we made swags, is what we called them, at an establishment that I worked at, where you can use natural trees as decoration at home, in the community. You can use ribbons to tie pieces together. You can use hot glue. You can let things dry out and use them year after year. Although the needles might fall out too, so you want to be careful about that, conscientious. If you want the needles to stay in, don't bump it, depending on what type of tree it is, of course. Um, But some of that you can stay. Otherwise, it's biodegradable, so you can throw it out into the compost, and you can, you know, mulch it and make it into something to help in the garden. You know, it's a good at nitrogen, phosphorus, you know, whatever supply for. I'm not sure about the phosphorus part, but you know, good as material to decompose in your garden for a little added flavor. Pine cone ornaments are another classic, of course, and also juniper berries. Juniper berries are used as a flavoring. I've seen them in gin, like a juniper gin, and I just saw on the internet that you can make a juniper berry jelly or jam, and it was something that I wanted to try, but we do not have any junipers. Junipers, again, are it's an overarching classification but generally they are like a traditionally whitish, bluish berry. So you can use those and you can make jams apparently. So it's on my list of things to try. We don't have any conifers in the yard here. But I wanted to get some nice pictures for the presentation tonight, and my neighbor has all sorts of different conifers, and I was just like, I don't want to be the weirdo who goes over to the neighbor's yard. So I didn't go over and get any pictures. So you won't see any pictures in this presentation tonight, but yeah, it was a maybe. Difference between white and red pines. This one I actually learned a very, very long time ago. I was with the Scouts, and a good friend's mother taught us white pines have soft needles that you can kind of bend and are kind of flexible, whereas red pines have sharper needles. So they can be a little bit thicker, and you can kind of poke your finger. It can actually hurt. They're actually pokey. So white are flexible, and you kind of go wiggle back and forth. And they're actually pretty soft, so you can go like this, and you know you can pet the white pines, but red pines can be pokey. So, and the way that they taught us that was, think of Santa's hat. Santa's hat is a triangle that is pointy. The red hat is pointy, and the fluffs on the end and on the edge are fluffy. The white parts of Santa's hat are fluffy white. So that's how you remember your pines. So I thought that was kind of cool. And I remembered it's probably been 30 years now. So maybe slightly less, but it was pretty close to 30 years. And no, I'm not disclosing my age. But I was very young, so so that's good. But yeah, so I thought that was kind of unique, kind of a fun little thing. And festive given the season also. So basics of pine needles. Depending upon the tree, needles are in bundles called fascicles, which can contain between 1 and 7 unique needles. Again, this is according to Wikipedia, and a lot of pines don't have like some pines have groupings where it is like one thing with needles coming out in groupings. So I'm presuming that's what the fascicles are. It did say between 1 and 7, with the majority being 2 to 5 on Wikipedia. But a lot of pines just have like the one off, and then it circles around the branch. So that is something that you will want to look up more information on. I know I want to do some actual research with conifers. It's been cold, and I don't want to befriend my neighbors that much, unfortunately. So I did not go out of my way to make friends and ask if I could be a nerd about their trees. but we do have this information, and I would love to get more information about this. The needles, I was trying to find specific information about the needles, and unfortunately, I couldn't find the source that I had seen, and I was digging, and then I ran out of time. So this is what I have, fortunately or otherwise. But that just a little bit about the pine needles. Cedars have don't actually have needles. So, like I said, not all of these might have needles or different structures of needles. Cedars have kind of more almost florally, kind of like a I want to say they're like the carrot leaf of conifers, if that makes sense. If you have seen carrot leaves, they're kind of lacy, is what you would call them. And so cedars are kind of lacy also. But they kind of have scales, and so but they kind of they have unique. I'm trying to articulate it with my hand, but my camera isn't on. Um, so they kind of have more branches, and they're softer, and they have a little more to them, the cedars. And that's another way you can discern them from other trees is the shape of their leaf, or rather, I'd say that they're somewhere in between a needle and a leaf. They I don't think either would describe them well, but they are unique in that, and so the cedars are very cool. I have a soft spot in me for cedars because of my first chainsawing experience. I took down a cedar. It was my first tree, and they were encroaching on an oak savanna. So they were unwanted. Obviously, we had to chainsaw them down, but I do like cedars because of that. They have a gorgeous. Obviously, they're used for a lot of wood projects. They're supposed to keep bugs away. The cedar wood is known for that, and the heartwood of it is this beautiful cherry color. It's beautiful red, juxtaposed with this very vibrant yellow of the living wood. So it's a beautiful tree. So yay, cedars. And they, of course, I found out later they are junipers, or they have the juniper berries, juniper-esque type berries. And so I want to make jam. So that is on the list of things to do. But a whole bunch of others. Those are just kind of the ones that you would traditionally think of, the spruces. And there are some very, very, very cool trees that fall in this category. There was one that I found when I was walking a while back, and it was like a weeping willow conifer. And they have some that are genetically modified specifically to droop, to go sideways, and that's not what I'm talking about. I know we have those at our cultivated gardens, but this one is straight up and down it's a straight up and down tree with your branches that go out, and then they've just got these gorgeous long drooping. It must be an old tree, I'm guessing, but it is this stunning, just draping needles that just it's got the poetry of and the poetry and the romance of a weeping willow. I don't think it's genetically modified. I think that is organically how it is. But I don't know what it's called. So I think I've taken pictures of it multiple times because I've seen it and been like, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. But I can't remember. I think I did try to ID it, but sometimes some programs work better than others for identification purposes. So, but this is the list again. Pines, junipers, firs, spruces, cedar, cypress, yew, hemlock, larch, redwood, arbor vitae. So, I do not have a tree myself for the holidays this year. I am just putting them all out. Does anybody have any of these that they have? Does anyone do living trees for the holidays? This presentation is not particularly holiday oriented. I meant to keep it scientific, but but we can still talk about it. Of course, tis the season, so. Um, Anyone have a pine? Spruces are good ones for holiday gifts to just be placed gently under. Um, we don't have a lot of yews up in Minnesota. Those I have seen an occasional hemlock. I did not think that hemlocks were actually conifers, so I would like to specifically look more at hemlocks. I thought they did have a traditional leaf, and I guess I don't know how they reproduce if it is a cone, so I would have to look at that also. But cedars, glorious. Cypress, we might see a couple around. I think there's one along the North Shore that I have seen, and stunning, just beautiful. But I think those are traditionally thought of more as like a Mediterranean type tree. Larch, redwood, and arbor vitae. Now, arbor vitae, I was also told kind of fall under the category of juniper as well. So that's another one you'd want to look into. But this was kind of the list that I was given. Larch, I also heard has a different name, and of course, I didn't look it up. But larch does have a different name. And I wish I had looked it up now. But that's what we've got for tonight. Does anyone have any questions? Kept it simple, just all basic information. I love this idea of the boreal forest. You know, the aurora borealis is, of course, a phenomenon in the sky. The northern lights. So the boreal forest matched with the aurora borealis just sounds very majestic, very northern pride, and happy Minnesotan, except for the fact that we don't technically qualify. Though I thought that I did read a forest in Wisconsin was claiming we were part of the boreal forest up in Duluth and Superior, Wisconsin. But looking at the maps that I saw, like the official maps, it was way, way, way more farther north. So maybe that was wishful thinking, or maybe the boundaries have changed for various reasons. But otherwise, it is kind of interesting to hear about that microbiome, especially since it is, or not a microbiome, the biome, because it is so large around northern Minnesota. We want to be in this boreal forest. Sorry, northern Minnesota. Is in our hearts, we're a part of this, or historically, we've been a part of this, and then the differentiation. Maybe the map I saw was wrong. Maybe the map I saw was wrong, but otherwise, have a great night, and that's it. Keeping it simple tonight, so nothing too wild here. Thank you all for coming, and we will see you next time.